Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday night. You know what that means. It is time for Take It to the Rank. But first, it's a very special edition of the Tyler Scott Show. So, Sammy, let's get started.
Good blocking on the perimeter, and that opens it up for Tyler Scott.
Oh, a huge night, and he's here. Tyler Scott's joining us. It is week 18. More importantly, it is Packers week. So Tyler, I got to ask you, how you living? How we doing?
Doing good. It's a big week, big week.
Is that a hoodie you're wearing, or do you have a robe on? What's going on? What's the?
No, it's
a hoodie. Okay. I wanted to make sure. I didn't know how casual we were nowadays. Like, okay, we've won a couple of games, and now he's just showing up in a robe, just being cool. What has been the atmosphere in the building? 5 consecutive wins at Soldier Field to close out that run of home games. What has it been like around the building with everything going on like that?
Yeah, I mean, all positive vibes. I mean, you can feel the energy we've had. You know, I've talked about over the past couple of weeks of just the expectation. That I think that's a mindset change, just the expectation of over going out and just winning games, of just going out and dominating the opponent. You can feel it in the building. Obviously, we've been playing great at home the last couple games, and we know we had to end it off right. You know, pretty much our biggest win as far as marginal wise of the year, beating the Atlanta Falcons. So the energy is super high, especially this week, understanding some of the things that are at stake.
Yeah, understanding that ever since you've joined us from the very beginning of the season, I've always been impressed with you and your knowledge of the history of the Chicago Bears. And I know that the Green Bay Packers are not something that you take lightly. You bought in immediately, and we really love that about the Bears. And Matt Eberflus has done a great job of that as well. Ryan Poles is in on that. But sincerely, you cannot lose this week. I can't deal with it. How are we feeling about that? Like, I know in week 1 we talked about it like, hey, and we're like, no. We have to win this one. Do you guys feel the same way?
Oh, for sure. I wouldn't even say have to. I feel like it's more of a we need to win. We need to win this game. And so I think the whole team definitely feels that. We're definitely expecting a playoff like atmosphere going into that one. It's one of those games where you wake up, you feel the goosebumps, you walk into the stadium, and you'll have big games in your career, but this is one of those games of like, all right, this is one of the biggest games of your career type of deal, type of feeling. And I think we all feel that and all buy into that as well.
Coming into week 1 this season, there was, I guess, hope was the better way to put it. We hadn't really seen, we finished okay last year, but we hadn't really seen everything. DJ Moore, I mean, I think in the first game I think it was that first game, I think DJ Moore had like 1 target, maybe 1 reception. So going into that game, it was more hope. Like, we hope the Bears are good. We've now seen the tangible evidence over the last number of weeks, as you said, dominating opponents, putting them away, like having no concerns, like having great finishes to games. But ultimately, what is the biggest difference between now and week 1? What is it? Because it does feel like it went from hope to like we know. It went from hope to we know. What do you feel?
Yeah, I think we're just playing complimentary football all around, and I think probably the most important thing is just our team chemistry. As far as in the locker room, I mean, we've grown so much closer since the beginning, and you hear all the cliches of like, oh, this is, we're going to grow stronger together through the tough times and all that, and this, that, and the third. But I mean, it's true and it's real. It's something that I've seen, going through this year from the beginning, is that you can see just the growth that we've had from one another. Because you see it across all different sports. You can have a lot of great pieces, but if you don't have a team chemistry, it's hard to come together. And I feel like we've gotten to that point to where we can feel the love for one another and the play for one another in the locker room, which is what you've seen from since the beginning until now. And then on the field wise, I think we're just playing complimentary football. Offensively, we want to run the ball, which is, you can see what we've been doing. And we've been establishing just a physical type of style of play. Khalil Herbert back to back, 100-yard games, averaging, he averaged like 7 yards to carry last game. We're keeping the ball, we're not turning the ball over. And then defensively, we're doing the opposite. You know what I'm saying? We've been plus in the turnover margin, and we've been getting pressure on the quarterback and been getting to the quarterback. That's the two things kind of on both sides of the ball that Coach Flus has really honed in on as far as just those things and then finishing in the fourth quarter, which is what we've done. And so I think we're just playing complementary football. We're getting to our weekly goals as far as what we want to accomplish. We're buying in on both sides of the ball. And, we're just playing good complementary football from special teams to offense to defense.
Yeah, there are so many things to unpack there defensively, offensively. I'll start with the offensive side of the football. And, going back to that game, it's a snow game in Chicago. There's nothing more than you can ask for. The dime that Justin Fields drops to DJ Moore to open the scoring, I feel was the best throw that I've seen him make during his entire NFL career. What did you think about that when you guys go back and watch it on film? Like, that is an absolute, and not only is that a dime, it's against Jesse Bates, one of the best safeties in the game, and it's just in the snow. Like, there's nothing. Like, I think we can pretty much put to rest the notion that Justin Fields can't throw.
Yeah, no, he had a lot of great throws that whole game. And given the weather conditions, he was balling. He was hitting on all cylinders. You could tell he had the confidence, the pep. As far as scrambling wise, I know the whole play of him kind of, eluding the whole rush and breaking it for a first down. I was on that play. The cornerback who was guarding me on that when Justin, he gets out the pocket and we're running across the field and we're kind of watching him run. And the guy goes, "Dang, he got out of that? Are you serious?" And I can't remember his number, but yeah, we're running across the field. I'm like, "Yeah, man. I don't even know. That was crazy." He said, "Man, that's crazy." And so, he just did so many great things that game. And I know that's kind of been the notion, but he's been putting those things to rest as of late for sure.
No, I've really loved the way that he's been playing, and again, another dominating performance by him in the offense. I looked at you though, because we keep waiting for the first touchdown. We had some opportunities. Unfortunately for you, you weren't able to connect. How did you feel coming out of that? Like, obviously, a couple of they're tough plays. I get defensive. Like, I feel like now I'm related to you, so I get defensive of people. Again, the bar was ready to pop because it was close. You almost got the 1 foot down. How did you feel about those plays when you went back and watched them? What did the team say about that when you're like in film study or whatever, and you go through that? What do the coaches say? What are you guys trying to work on there?
Yeah, you're just trying to figure out exactly, what you could have done to put yourself in a better position to execute. The first one I know, we talk about kind of catching, and the crazy thing about it is I want to say kind of how I caught it. Even if I would have got my second foot down in the NFL, I guess that wouldn't have counted.
What?
Yeah.
They counted in Njoku's a couple weeks ago. Yours would have counted.
It's a weird rule, I guess. Depending on if you get I don't know if you have to get your whole foot down if your back is facing towards the goal line. If you can toe drag if you're facing out of bounds, but if you're facing backwards, it's kind of a iffy rule there on what's legal and what's not. And so as a receiver, you're kind of taught if you can. You want to kind of catch it and turn towards the sideline, and then you can kind of toe drag because it's a lot more difficult to catch and kind of get your toe/heel down. I don't know if you get your heel down if it'll count, but it's a weird rule there how that goes. But yeah, so on that, I probably could have just kept it a lot more flat. Gave myself some more room there on the back of the end zone. Just kind of looking at the film of where DJ was compared to me. I could have, made it a lot more easier of a catch there. And then in the second one, we got the exact look that we wanted. Pre-snap, I think we had our tight end that was kind of we were kind of bunch set. Our tight end motioned out, and we figured that they would kind of bump it out and end up playing a kind of cover one look. With the nickel who was over top of me at the time playing outside leverage, which is exactly what we got. And so I was definitely looking to get the ball pre-snap. And so broke the guy off, ran a good route, and then just got to come up with it at the end of the day. Justin threw a great ball over top, ended up tracking it. And, DB also made a, great play, disrupting my timing of, catching the whole thing. But at the end of the day, got to make those plays. And that's how you separate yourself. Is making those, kind of spectacular catches that are tough to make.
Yeah, what does Justin say, like, or any of the veteran wide receivers say when you go through that kind of stuff? Because I had a friend who played, at Washington, and I was talking to him about that, and like, hey, what do you go through like that? Is obviously it doesn't feel like Justin's holding it against you because he is giving
Yeah,
chances. What do guys like DJ Moore? What do the veterans say? Like, what kind of goes through? Because it's one thing when you're winning a game and you win big, and you're like, hey, this is a great win, you should celebrate. But then
yeah.
personally, you're like, well, I could have done a couple of more things. How does that
Mhm.
process work?
Yeah, I think it's just your mindset. You don't want to just continue to get down on yourself, and just keep your confidence. You don't want to doubt yourself and doubt your abilities, and things of that nature. And so I think that's just the biggest thing. It's just your mindset. Those things happen, and things are gonna happen to you. But I think one thing I've learned and one thing I've kind of been taught is just how you're gonna react to those things. Because you're gonna have another opportunity to go and go make those opportunities up and the thing is just how you're going to react, and you just got to make the best of your opportunities when they come.
Yeah, that's all you can do. This is what, a lot of times rookie seasons, it's all about learning. It's all about getting better and continuing to improve. And as long as the team's getting better and you're continuing to grow, I think that's probably the most important thing. And I was kind of excited. And I sent you a note after the game and I'm like, well, the cool thing is that your first touchdown is going to happen at Lambeau Field. So
Yeah,
that'll be one to hold on to. Like, that'll be one, like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be in a big moment. So I feel the utmost confidence going. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll just do this in Lambeau and it'll be fun. Have you decided if you're going to do a Lambeau? No, I'm just kidding. What have you seen though, as you start to watch the Green Bay Packers? Now, obviously this is a team with a lot of talent on the defensive side of the football. What do you see from them as you're starting to get prepared for this game? Like, what are some of the things that stand out? Because obviously we've heard about, hey, 9 first-round picks on defense, but they've been giving up some points over the last couple of weeks. And as they're scuffling and fighting for a playoff berth, I think there's a real opportunity for us.
no, for sure. I think we just want to ruin their whole chances. We want to ruin any chance they have at getting into the playoffs, and I think that's just the main thing. Defensively, I mean, they're pretty. I say they're pretty simple and kind of what they do as far as their standpoint, as far as just once they line up in a look, once they line up in a formation, that's kind of what they do. That's just what they're gonna do, and they're just kind of focused on, all right, we're gonna line up in what we want to do, and we're just gonna execute in the things that we like to do. They kind of like to mess with you with their personnels. They like to,
Mhm.
all right, we're in nickel defense, or we're in Bronco defense, or we're in dime defense, or we're in base defense. So they just try to mess with you as far as those type of things. So now it makes it a little bit difficult as far as like who you're blocking and just kind of maybe some of the coverage is going to get. But at the end of the day, they're pretty base and pretty simple in what they like to do, and you can tell they're pretty confident in what they're doing. But at the end of the day, you go through a whole season, you know what their tendencies are, they know what our tendencies are. At the end of the day, it's just who's gonna play the best football, come Sunday, who wants it more, and who's gonna dominate, the other side of the ball, So I think that's just pretty much it. It's not gonna be too many X's and O's type difference. Like it's just gonna be a football game of like, all
Right.
right, who wants it more?
Yeah. And it's true. And obviously we were finally eliminated from the playoffs. We needed a tie. Were you watching that game on Sunday night last week? Because I was there because I was battling everybody online as I usually do. Because I'm like, and everybody was like, well, we're eliminated. I'm like, no, if there's a tie, we go in highly unlikely, but still, were you watching that game? And were you watching like, oh, were you sitting there rooting for the tie, or did you kind of realize like this is probably a long shot?
Yeah, no, I knew it was kind of a long shot, for sure. But no, I was definitely watching. I was watching a plethora of games, that whole day. But just kind of seeing the score, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna go our way. But yeah, no, definitely was keeping track of kind of just everything. Even during the game, I remember they showed. I think I want to say they showed the Giants,
Yeah,
and the Giants game there and the Seahawks, and I was like, man, the Giants ended up losing, and I think that kind of messed with our
that was
chances
a
as well.
tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, that really messed with our chances kind of during the game there when I looked up at the scoreboard. So was definitely just keeping track of each game to kind of see, all right, shaping out mathematically what could happen and what are the chances. But it didn't work out. So
Chip in a chair, that's all we ask. And, trying to being there in week 17, I think is, again, it's an accomplishment. I mean, that's good. Like, you don't want to be eliminated early. We'd already wrapped up the number 1 overall pick, so that was good. But it was fun. It was kind of a fun day, like trying to wait for things to unfold, the
Yeah.
things with the Rams and the Seahawks and everything like that. And so, it's interesting because Justin had talked about this a number of weeks ago, and we brought it up here on this show, where trying to emulate the formula that the Lions had for last season, which is finishing strong and then ruining Green Bay's playoff opportunities. I mean, you've got to be like, outside of playing for the playoffs, is this kind of like the best possible scenario?
I think so. I mean, what better way to end the season, than to ruin their playoff chances, and to kind of send them home, man. And with the rivalry like we have ours now, like I said, it's not like we're just playing, quote unquote. At least it doesn't feel like quote unquote meaningless football, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, it's not like we're just playing some other opponent who they're out of the playoffs and we're just kind of, just lacing them up and playing on Sunday. It's a rivalry game, number one, and then number two, it's like, all right, you have a chance to ruin their season. I guess we heard they got like some type of party, maybe playing for after the game, we're ready to run that. So I think it'll be a fun game.
No, definitely. And it's something that the fans focus in on too. And I get tired of listening to the Packer fans constantly holding that over us and everything like that. And, you just kind of want to, you do want to end somebody's season. I don't think that it's anything outlandish. I don't think that it's anything weird or anything like that. Like that's a rivalry. And that's one of the cool things about being a fan of the Bears is that the team buys into the rivalries as much as we do. I know that the coaches have to do the coach speak and like, we're focusing on us and we're doing our sorts of things. And it's like, that's cool. But at the same time, as fans, like, no, we totally want to ruin Green Bay's season, and everything that we can do to do that is always a delight. What is, I feel though, going back to week 1 and, everything that happened, we're so different, especially defensively. And I know that we've talked about the sweat effect, but you even mentioned it a little bit earlier, the takeaways. Yeah. Like our team, like if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if this is just from week 6, but I believe that we lead the NFL in interceptions right now. And it's not, and it's come down to how well they've played with Montez Sweat. How fun is it to be out there knowing, like, again, like this will be the first time that we've played Green Bay in a long time where it's like, when they have the ball, I'm not going to be just assuming that it's like we have a defense that can definitely step up. How relaxing is that for you?
No, I mean, it's very confident. It feels very confident coming from the defense. I think, this past game, there was a lot of plays during the game where it was like so close to just interceptions. Like you could hear it in the stadium where it was like, oh yeah. Like it was so many of those throughout the game where it was like, oh, he almost intercepted it. He almost intercepted it. It's like, they are constantly just always around the ball now. And it feels like, they're a tip here or a tip there or an inch there or a yard there away from just another interception to flip the game. We're at times we're on the sideline now, like, all right, we're about to get an interception or we got one coming. Like it's bound to happen. If we haven't got one yet, it's like, well, it's coming, sometime during the game because, that's just been our trend. So it's definitely gives the offense confidence just knowing that they're going to get a turnover at any point in time in the game.
One of the fellow rookies on the team, Tyreek Stevenson, has 4 interceptions this season, had another great one there on Sunday against the Falcons. Obviously, you see him in practice. I remember that, obviously with everything that went down, the Bears traded a 2nd-round pick for Chase Claypool. The Steelers drafted a defensive back. I've told everybody, I go, if Tyreek Stevenson ends up being this like all-around great player, I'm going to be an absolute menace, and I'm not going to let people forget about it. As somebody who sees him in practice every day, how good has Tyreek Stevenson been?
Yeah, he's improved, from since the beginning of the season tremendously, all the way till now. I remember one of our first games, we were facing early in the season, we were facing Tampa Bay, and he was a little nervous, to start the game because he was like, God, I got Mike Evans in front of me.
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin,
he's like, I got Mike Evans in front of me, man. Like, I'm nervous, dude. And I remember just telling him, like, listen, man, just I tried to, try not to overwhelm him and just kind of simple it down, simplify it for him in his mind. Like, listen, man, just remember what your job is. Just do your job. You know what I'm saying? Know where your help is at. Know the defensive call. Know what you got to do. Know your drop. Just remember all your coaching points and your techniques, man. Just trust your coaching, and you'll be all right. And you can just tell that as the season has continued to progress, he's just gotten more confident. He won NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, I'm happy for him just to see his confidence levels just rose. And I think one of the best interceptions of the year was in Cleveland.
Yes.
He played it so beautifully. Just his drop, the pick. It was a nice dive. He returned it, for a lot of yards. And just seeing that, it's just huge. So, I'm excited to see how he continues and how he grows here in the future.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think he also had a hand in tipping a ball to Tremaine Edmonds that turned into an interception as well this season. So I've been letting people know. And again, trades happen and things work out and sometimes they don't. But I think Tyreek Stevenson is somebody to be proud of, and which is why I have so much confidence in Ryan Poles and what he's doing. Hold on. I got to make sure we got producers. We got a big show tonight. So we have a lot of cool things. We do have we have 2 comments to put on. So we're trusting the public here, but I did want to say, I was going to say one other thing and now I can't remember. I've lost my train of thought, but enjoying seeing what Tyreek Stevenson has been able to do. And then now again, like but like you said, the confidence, because they kind of like threw him to the wolves early in the season. And it was one of those things where you're like, okay, he's a rookie. And that Tampa Bay game stands out. Funny that you mentioned that, but it's one of those things that just makes somebody better. You just end up becoming a better player by doing all that stuff. If before we get to the comments though, again, I know that I've asked you to pass on messages to people with the team. And I know that you humor me and say that you're going to do it. The next time you see Kyler Gordon, no more flips. We're done. I love the athleticism. That's great. I will take him to Get Air. I'll take him to a trampoline park after the season. No more of that. At least for one more week.
Makes me nervous.
Makes me nervous. It's nervous time. But we got a couple of comments we wanted to bring by. Sammy, what do we got? Unrelated. Tyler is fun to pass to, and that is absolutely no, that's great. I haven't been able to open Madden yet. That's one of the things I got to imagine. I've never asked, are you a Madden guy?
Yeah. No, I'm definitely a Madden guy. I haven't played it as much as of late, but yeah, definitely a huge Madden guy. And if I'm gonna play a video game, because I'm not a huge video game guy,
yeah,
I'm gonna play Madden. That's probably the only game I'm turning on and I'm gonna play is Madden.
We got to get into Mario Kart. Oh, the kids love the Mario Kart. That's a fun competitive one. But when you play Madden, you've got to be peppering yourself with targets, correct?
No. I don't know. I just feels like, I mean, it's cool kind of seeing myself, playing.
Yeah.
I got all my friends like, always send me like videos and stuff of them using me and saying like, man, I'm going crazy with you on kickoff, and, stuff like that. But no, I mean, I don't usually use myself on Madden. I like to use other players, but no, it's pretty cool though.
Oh my gosh. I was just going to say, run the ball with you. I forgot to bring up, I'm so sorry. We don't have a cute name for it yet, but our version of the tush push, you were there. You got Justin Fields I forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This must be why Jeff is listening in. Like, don't forget to mention that. Yeah, I forgot. You were involved in that play. Like that was amazing. What was that moment like? Like I saw you out there again, when we get together and we're like, oh my God, Tyler's in there. We're going to push him in. And like, listen, you're not like, no disrespect to you, but you're not 6'5", 280. You're a human being. Like, but first of all, how did you get that role? And what was that play? That play was amazing because that second effort, like you had to get a second effort to get him in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure exactly the rhyme or reason behind the role, but I just knew when we drew it up on paper, I was behind the quarterback, and I'm like, you chose the right man. You chose the right man. And I want to say so far this year, I'm undefeated when I'm back there. We're getting a first down, and I try to just keep my legs moving. And I remember Justin came into the huddle. He was like, we got. He's like, we got rugby, and we got onto the line, and we ran a play, and I think the defense, they knew it was coming, but they had to stop it. So it was fun though.
No, it's amazing. It's like always like the scrappiest teams in the tug of war always put a bunch of smaller guys instead of like having like one big guy, having three little guys. It's like playing Blades of Steel back in the day. That's a game you've never heard of. But Sammy, do we have one more question? Because we got to let Tyler get out of here because we got I want to make sure I read this. By the way, Carrie Franklin does come along a lot. Tyler Scott, you have accomplished more than most by working hard and making it to the NFL. This Bears fan believes in you and looks forward to seeing your first touchdown in Green Bay country. No pressure. Listen, I already put it on him.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
Carrie's the best. Thank you so much for I really truly believe this is going to happen this week, and it's going to be in a big moment. I think it's all been leading up to this. Like your story has led to this with some of the things that have gone on this season, but I think that it's led to this moment. Do you feel it? Can we just put that into the universe? The first touchdown comes this week.
Oh, definitely. No doubt about it. I know I'm definitely going to have some opportunities. I think that the game is definitely slowing down for me. And, I can feel myself like, able to get open, and actually, feel confident what I'm doing, know what to expect, and kind of have anticipation. And now it's just all about finishing, a lot of the plays off. But I'm getting open, getting in the right spots. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what we have store come Sunday.
Well, I'm excited for you. And again, I appreciate your perspective and how much that you honor and revere this rivalry with the Packers. It is one of the things that brings you, like, that welcomes you to the Bears family. So we all appreciate it. We're all rooting for you. We feel like this is going to be a good game. Again, week 1, it was a hope. Week 18 is a belief that it's going to happen. So as you know, I'm always picking the Bears to win this one. We're going to go out and finish with a bang. We're going to eliminate the Packers, and then we're going to get together and we're going to talk about this next week. And I can't wait to do it, but good luck to you. I will be in touch, obviously, because I'll annoy you with my dumb messages as I always do, but I want to thank you for doing this. Happy New Year to you, and bear down.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year. There he goes. The great Tyler Scott. We appreciate him coming in to join us here each and every week. And I want to remind everybody that since the game is in Green Bay, as we switch over to the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank and take it to the rank, when this week, if you're looking for a place to watch the Bears game, might I recommend Game Room Chicago. It is the best place to watch football in all of Chicago. It features billiards, shuffleball, skee board, pop-a-shot, and so much more. And it's plenty of space for you to watch your favorite game, which, of course, this week will be the Packers playing host to our Chicago Bears. And there's a menu featuring Michelin star chef Mari Katsumura snack foods. They have beer towers, a weekend Bloody Mary bar, and shareable signature cocktails. Game Room Chicago is the place to be on game day in Chicago, located inside the historic Chicago Athletic Association Hotel. Check out Game Room Chicago, and we thank them for their sponsorship. Now, joining us, we're bringing in the guests. Our first guest, as we always do on Wednesday evenings, from FoxSports.com. It is Carmen Vitali, who is going to be joining us. Carmen, how you living?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Are you excited for a weekend Bears Chicago or Bears in Green Bay with something on the line? You can't ask for anything more than that outside of, perhaps the Bears playing for the playoffs as well.
No, this is shaping up to be an all-timer, and I have a piece coming out for FoxSports.com tomorrow just about the congruency between how the Packers season was shaping up last year, with a chance to go to the playoffs by beating a surging division opponent in Week 18, to this year where they have a chance to go to the playoffs against a surging NFC North opponent in Week 18. Time is a flat circle, Adam, and it's real fun.
Time is a flat circle, and I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure, but we're also going to bring on another guest because it was fun last week. You and Braggs were able to gang up on me. I brought you somebody else, so you both can gang up on me once again. He is one of our favorites here. He is a fan favorite amongst the entire Chicago Bears fan base. He is the leader of the Tape Never Lies network. He is my brother, Draft Dr. Phil. Draft Dr. Phil. How are you?
What is up?
How are you?
Carmen, I've never had the pleasure.
No, nice to meet you.
Adam's that friend that never brings me out with him.
How dare you? Listen, you can't put all the stars. It's not like a Gary Marshall movie. You don't want to put all the stars in one movie. You got to spread them out over a number of pictures. So I appreciate both of you being here. Two of my favorite people. So thank you so much. And thank you for waiting around for Tyler Scott, because, he wants to come on Wednesdays. You're like, okay. It's kind of like when I'm at the Comedy Store and they're like, hey, Bill Burr's taking your spot. You're like, okay, that tracks. And then I go and sit down for a half hour. But I want to start with something that broke last Sunday. Ian Rappaport had a note out there that the Bears have already said that Matt Eberflus is coming back. He is going to be the head coach of the Bears next season. I thought was a little premature. I was on the air on the NFL channel, and I'm like, does he know that we're playing Green Bay this week? So, Carmen, I'll start with you. I want to ask both of you this question. Is it a fait accompli? Does this game matter to Matt Eberflus's coaching future in Chicago? Carmen, I'll start with you.
It has to matter a little bit, but not in the sense that I think that he will be fired if they don't win this game. I think the last two games down the stretch after that report came out, it was basically like he's expected to be back barring a meltdown. Well, we've avoided a meltdown. He's already won one of the last two games. And because of that, I think that they are going to bring him back. This is something that I've been pretty adamant about all season, especially once we saw the defense click into place. I'm like, yeah, he's coming back. They are trusting his system. His system is starting to work, his side of the ball. And I think that a 3-year rebuild was what was sold by Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus together to ownership and to this the rest of the front office was, listen, give us 3 years and we're going to figure it out. And by the end of the season, if they win on Sunday or not, they are going to be right on track with that year 2 of the rebuild.
Well, I'll move this over to Draft Dr. Phil, who has for the longest time been an advocate of Jim Harbaugh being the future coach of the Chicago Bears, which I think echoes the sentiment of a ton of Bears fans, especially the time, the people that can go back to when he was the quarterback of the Bears. Draft Dr. Phil, do you think that he is coming? I know let's not focus in on what we should do, but do you think that Matt Eberflus is coming back? Whether you think that's the right decision or not, do you think he's coming back?
I want to get on the record that I think it's the wrong decision.
Okay.
100%. It's not even a question to me. Number 2, I do think this game is going to play into the McCaskies and how they handle this, because they are, for better or worse, they've been a lot worse in regards to hiring coaches, but they put a lot of weight. And I've been around them, seeing George. A lot of people love George and what he does and stands for. And I know that George really takes this rivalry seriously. So if I could say one good thing about George, it's that he cares about this game a hell of a lot. So I think it has a lot of weight. And I think if we look at the wins that the Bears have had, I know my partner at TTNL, Shane Marceau, has laid the foundation. Okay, they've beaten 2 quality starters in the NFL, in Jared Goff and arguably Kyler Murray. That's it. Everybody else has been a backup and a facade of wins. So we have to take a step back, see the culture here of what this guy is doing, how they've built around Justin Fields. In fact, I feel like they've neglected him in a huge way and thus created this soap opera that is the offense and Getsy and the firing of coaches and HR problems. All of this stuff kind of gets swept under the rug because they're playing these scrub teams and their defense is doing what they should do. It's take the ball away from terrible quarterbacks. And then once you got Montez Sweat in there, you're doing what you're supposed to do. This game, Carmen and Adam, the Bears have failed 9 times in a row. They've lost. I was at the last time they won, Adam. Me and you were FaceTiming before to win the NFC North. It was a great day. I'll never forget it. But the Bears have not been able to do it. So this is where your money, where your mouth is, coach. You don't bring Club Dub back when you're a 4-win team. You just don't. This is the culture he has. And I think it's totally time. The stars are all aligned. First round pick, big money. Jim Harbaugh's in the national championship. Bring him home, have this whole culture turned around. I believe they should do it, but to answer your question, will they do it? I honestly don't know. Kevin Warren is the wild card here. If he wasn't there, I'd say no way. They can't get out of their own way. I know Courtney Cronin came out yesterday. Everyone went hubbub, and you see the influences of Ted and George pushing Ryan Poles to hire Matt Eberflus. To me, that's the good old boy network. Let's bring in Bill Polian. Bill Polian says he's good. He must be. This is the problem with the Bears.
Yeah.
And I think the head coach is a huge problem here in Chicago.
Well, Carmen, but as you said, Carmen all along has said that this Matt Eberflus is going to stay for a lot of the reasons that you laid out. Carmen, let me ask you as a follow-up, if this game ends similar to the way it ended in week 1, would that be something? Do you think that could actually cost Matt Eberflus? Like, if this is an embarrassment, I know it's not thankfully it's not a primetime game, but would it be something that could cost him? Like, if it's terrible, is it a thing like Black Monday, he's out?
No, I really don't think so. I mean, you have to look at this in the total perspective. And Ryan Poles said as much last week, when making a decision about Justin Fields is what he was talking about. But that's kind of his approach to everything, is you have to look at things in totality. And if barring an absolute embarrassment, which I don't think will happen, I really can't see the Bears making any rash decisions on Matt Eberflus. And I think that their minds are made up already that they're going to give him at least another year because of the fact that his side of the ball is surging at this point. And whether that's because they're playing bad teams or what have you, they're doing what they're supposed to. And again, this is kind of in line with where they were supposed to be after year 2 under both Poles and Eberflus. You figure out that side of the ball, you invest in that side of the ball, which they did in the offseason, and you're seeing the returns of that, and then in season as well with Montez. And now you have the decision to make on Justin, but you were always going to have to make that decision this year, given his 5th-year option. And that's where this is the timeline that I think was completely expected. Now, I also said that if there's stuff that comes off the field, which speaks to the culture that Phil's talking about, if there's that stuff that comes out, yes, Matt Eberflus is absolutely in danger of being relieved of his duties, and I think he should be. If there's some really bad stuff that comes out after all those issues, especially earlier in the season with his coaching staff.
Yeah.
But barring that, I mean, the on-field product is exactly where it's supposed to be, as far as I'm concerned. After year 2, you already have improved your win total as well. I don't I know you said they were going to get to 12 wins, Adam. I never had that. I thought 7 or 8 wins this year, you're golden. And that's exactly what they're looking at right now. I think that Matt Eberflus does have that locker room. Guys that I've talked to like playing for him all the way back to even when he was the Colts defensive coordinator. He's a player's coach, and these guys appreciate him for that. So I think that you have to take that into account as well.
I'm warming up to him. I've always liked him as a person. I thought he was
warm up to him, man. Please.
Listen, I've liked him as a human being.
I want to push back on Carmen because we're talking about 4 epic collapse losses. You win 2 out of those, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is a coaching issue in Chicago. Oh, you beat Tyler Heineke.
Taylor Heineke, yep.
Heineke.
You beat Josh Dobbs. You put that stupidity to rest. I mean, these are the things. By the way, you're beating Cleveland by 10. In the history of the franchise, there was a 0% chance of losing. Wait, Matt Eberflus, hold my beer. This team is led by a guy that's a good defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. He really isn't. And that's a problem. Nice guy. Nice guys finish last. I'm sorry. And we need Last time, everyone laughs, but I've been saying this, and Adam knows this for years. I've eyeballed Jim Harbaugh as a maniacal coach that's going to put the best. He doesn't play politics. I don't care, Ryan, if you took him in the second round, first round. We're playing the best players. Eberflus hasn't done that, and Justin Fields has been a issue because of that. His issues are because of the head coach staying with Getsy too long and handling this whole situation in a terrible way, in my opinion. And we'll find out.
What else would you have wanted him to do with Luke Getsy, though? You can't take that first year and then rip the rug out from underneath Justin Fields to put him in his third system in 3 years. Like, you had to have given him an extra chance, and you're not going to fire him mid-season either, because what's that going to do?
You do
fire
But
who's going to take over? Who's going to take over and make Justin Fields better than Luke Getsy?
Honestly, you don't hire someone you would bring someone up to see what you got. What's the Conoco, the quarterback coach?
Andrew Janocko. He's a bright young mind for sure.
Give him a shot to see how he calls plays. And we're talking about 3rd and 2 in empty sets. We're talking about situational football that has cost the Chicago Bears not 2 games, 5 games. And it happens to fall on Getsy. It really does. And the head coach is responsible for that. I'm sorry. As a head coach, I've seen this guy so many times. I just watched the tape of him and the fundamentals on the offensive line. Even some of the situations that they're asking a play to be run are blocked incorrectly. And that's a shame, really. And Justin has to be a magician half the time to get out of the mess that they've created.
And then how do you explain Justin getting better as the season goes on? He's gotten better within this system.
I don't think he's gotten better.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one who thinks he's gotten better.
I think he's consistently inconsistent. That's what he is.
I agree that he's not consistent, but he's improved a little bit. I don't think he's improved enough either. I don't think he's improved enough, but I think that he's improved.
So if Eberflus is staying, like, would it make sense to bring in a new quarterback, because you're resetting the cycle that you went through with Matt Nagy, where you have a coach that might be on the proper path, and you bring in a quarterback that, and if let's say let's just say they drafted Caleb Williams, but if Eberflus, you're like, oh wait, we made a mistake there, then you have to wouldn't you just want it all to just line up together? So if you're going to go with
that, Adam, Dick Duran.
Yeah.
They had it. Who do they have? Oh, they bring in now they get Lovey. He inherits the next guy. They've done this every time. Nagy, Mitch Trubisky. Now Matt Eberflus, Justin Fields, Rex Grossman. It's the same story with the Bears. It's how they hired the coach before the GM, or the GM. Oh, he doesn't get the. This franchise does things backwards. They've never done GM or coach and quarterback. The holy trinity of football. GM, coach, and quarterback. The Bears have not done that. And that's really set the balance. So, yeah, in my opinion, I would fire Eberflus, trade Justin Fields, and get Caleb Williams with the number 1 pick in Chicago.
Carmen, what would you do? Like, what do you think is the proper way? Do you think, well, I guess first, if Eberflus is staying, do you think that means that Justin Fields is staying? Because they could have benched Justin Fields, similar to what's happened in Denver with Russell Wilson. Like, if you were really of the mind that, like, Justin Fields is being traded in the offseason, wouldn't you bench him this week? Make sure he doesn't get hurt?
No, because you want to see if he can do even better against the Packers, because that's going to up his trade value. So you absolutely want to keep him playing and show off his athleticism and everything like that. And I mean, I've been in the camp too, where I think it makes the most sense to trade Justin Fields as well, because especially if you're going to get rid of Luke Getsy, I don't think it's a question on if you're keeping Eberflus necessarily. I do think that down the line that comes into play, because you want him to be there for longer than a year if you're starting over with another quarterback and not rip the rug out from underneath them. But you're going to likely have to start over with a new offensive system, because I don't think that Getsy got the most out of Justin Fields. But also bringing in a new coordinator, is going to mean you're now up against the clock and you have a lot less time to see if Justin Fields is worth paying in a brand new system again. So you've absolutely backed yourself into a corner where you probably have to get rid of Luke Getsy, which means you should start over with another quarterback and bring in a coordinator that you think is going to fit whoever the pick is going to be. That's the luxury you now have as the Chicago Bears having the number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
You can hire a coordinator before the draft, knowing full well which quarterback you're going to take in the draft because you have the freedom to do that. And that can kind of at least marry that side of the ball so that if Eberflus's defense keeps up and it starts doing really well against good teams and continues this momentum, then Eberflus can be the coach for the next few years while you have an offensive system that's growing with a defense to lean on. So if I'm Ryan Poles right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling Matt Eberflus, I'm sorry, Luke is just not working out at this point. We need to bring in somebody else with the quarterback that we are about to draft in mind. Because I think it's too late with Fields. I don't think it's too late for him to be a good player. I think he can go off and be good at somewhere else. That is fine because you have to have faith in your evaluation of a quarterback you would bring in as well as an offensive coordinator you would bring in. This is a test of how confident Ryan Poles is in himself and in the organization.
I agree with her in regards to that. I still would get rid of Eberflus. I don't believe, like, there's obviously the 4 epic NFL and charter franchise losses. You can't get around those things. I don't get down with tanking.
Right.
I don't think that happened. And you can't, well, the first year they were set up to tank. No, you go out there as a competitor to win.
Of course.
And he had his opportunity. Look at the games. They weren't like blowouts. There were opportunities where Getsy and Coach Eberflus and Alan Williams, whatever happened to him, your coach is up there lying about Chase Claypool, Alan Williams. We've seen that. I just don't like the culture of the lying, the letdowns, and the complete collapses, as well as this club dub that continues. I think it's embarrassing. We had Chris Zorich on last night. He's like, oh my God, they're putting on a nightclub and smoking cigars, and they're not even going to they're going to be on the couch next week. So it does look bad. And as a head coach, you got to step in there and say, guys, there's certain things you want to go outside, go to the nightclub after a big win. But in here, we have optics and a fan base that supports us. If we're 3 wins and it's 10 below, they're out there cheering for us. Let's not look and let our fans down here. And people could say, oh, Phil, coach, you're old.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting ready to say.
I don't think Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, and all of these coaches that are actually winners allow that to happen.
I mean, like a lot. That's true. Because like you could even go on the NFL level, be like Bill Belichick doesn't behave this way, which is great when you have Tom Brady. A lot of this comes in for the players as well. So I don't know. Like, it's funny because like Phil and I are established youth coaches. You know, Phil was leading his football team to a Super Bowl appearance. My Red Lightning, of course, won our division and took top of the table in the tournament and all that stuff. I'm more of the like, hey, let's go out there and celebrate type of person. That stuff doesn't matter to me. But I do want to ask though, because I don't know, I'm the one person here who believes in Justin Fields. And I know that
we both believe in him.
We both believe in him.
I really believe the kid
all
is
right. Well, let me bring it in.
Because you have, listen, as Carmen could tell you, you say one bad thing, it becomes an epic or race thing. It becomes you're a hater, you're disgusting, you like Mac Jones, all of that. So I
got you. Okay,
Justin Fields is an elite talent. He's an athlete. He is just struggling in an anticipation and in processing what Luke Getsy wants to do with him. Jim Harbaugh comes here and says, he's my guy. I guarantee Justin Fields' play and the surrounding plan, personnel and play calls will be completely different than what you see Getsy doing. And that's the problem. If you're going to continue on this road, you also are backed up. And this is what fans don't get. And I'm not a cap guy. I always say F a cap. Just keep spending, get the best players.
Same here.
Right? But there's going to be a $25 million commitment that you have to make right after the draft. Oh, by the way, you have the first pick in the draft. Then are you guaranteeing Justin Fields right now $45 million a year?
They don't have to right now. That's the problem.
But that's where we're going with it.
I mean, eventually. Well, okay, yeah. Well, that's
I'm
why
not
we
betting on that.
That's why we take the $25 million a year to see what happens. I know that I love to use examples of long time ago with players you guys might not have ever heard of or ever seen or whatever. And this is going to be an old, and they're not even the Bears. This is old timey football. It might not even happen today. But one of my friends and colleagues played for the San Diego Chargers. And I always ask him to this day, I'm like, remember in 2004, what would have happened that instead of drafting Eli Manning, who you eventually flip for Phillip Rivers, what if the Chargers had just kept Drew Brees and kept LaDainian Tomlinson and drafted Larry Fitzgerald, who was the second or third overall pick? Actually, the Cardinals took him third. Gallery went second in that draft. The trajectory of the San Diego Chargers is much different. LT and I talk about every time I don't love to because it pisses him off. I always bring it up. I'm like, I still can't believe it that you had Breeze and you decided not to go with Larry Fitzgerald. And I feel like the same thing would happen again here, where you would be like, hey, like Caleb Williams might be fine. Like he's probably going to be a good NFL quarterback. Is he going to be better than Justin? I don't know. I just think it's a mistake because you can go in right now and you'd have Justin Fields, you'd have Marvin Harrison Jr., you'd have DJ Moore. If it turns out that Justin doesn't make the next step, if things don't happen, you're like, oh, maybe it's not going to work. Then you start over the following year. I don't know who the top quarterback, draft a quarterback in 2025. And that guy's going to start with DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. I just feel like that's the best way for us to go.
But that's also an argument for this year, because starting over with a new quarterback at this point, when you conceivably have most of the holes filled on, this is a good roster. Opposing coaches I have talked to that are going against the Bears these last few weeks
100%.
are like, they're a good team. You're setting up a rookie on a good team. The Bears don't have the number one pick because they were the worst team in football. I can't stress to you how unique of an opportunity this is for the Bears to bring in a new quarterback, a young quarterback, help him develop, but give him all the tools he needs to succeed while having all of the flexibility to build around him, because you're not having to pay him. That supersedes this year and next. That goes for the next 3-4 years. You can continue to build with sure things through free agency and keep that cap down that you're committing to your quarterback while spending it on known commodities that are going to help and bring the experience level up on this young team in general. That is such a unique opportunity. It is such a cheat code in the NFL. Look at what the 49ers were able to do with Brock Purdy. They're not paying Brock Purdy anything. And so they have a team that's completely autonomous, separate from its quarterback. Doesn't matter who's under center necessarily for the 49ers. They're a good team. And the Bears can be built in the same way, which would insulate from injury, from anything really. And I just think that is a really smart play, and you can't pass up on such a unique opportunity this season.
But the 49ers also have the benefit of having Kyle Shanahan, which we clearly do not.
Get an offensive coordinator from that tree. Try again. I know Gutsy's technically from that tree too. Try again.
I agree. I mean, the Bears need a center and a left tackle. Looking at the tape very badly. The reality of where the people don't understand, 45 million per year. A rookie does not get 45 million per year. Sorry, guys in the chat. The rookie comes in and gets 6 million guaranteed in the year. Thus the cap. That's why way back when the Seahawks signed, Matt Flynn from the Packers to this big deal, and they drafted Russ in the third. They went with Russ because of the potential as well as the cap savings in the quarterback so they can invest, like Carmen's saying, in free agency on other positions surrounding. And that's where the Bears are right now. They're in the perfect spot to not blow this, but for some reason, keeping Eberflus and company would. And same with Justin Fields, because you're gonna have to pay somebody as an elite an athlete as Justin is and what he does. What he did was amazing, like a magician out of the pocket. But the reality is that doesn't get you to where the Super Bowl trophy is held. You know, Steve Young ran, Mike Vick ran, and then they couldn't run, and they had to become a pocket. Vince Young ran like nobody had seen, right? He didn't make it in the NFL. That's only getting you so far. When I watch the tape of Justin Fields, despite all these other people watching tape, I'm going to sit down and talk to you truthfully and show you this is 5 seconds too late. This is tapping the ball, winding up. This is him squatting down. So instead of being 6'3", he's now 5'11", and thus he can't see. So all of these things that Getsy tried to change in him, we heard about it. Chris Collinsworth comments, where do you think they came from that Sunday night? Talking about Tyson Bagent. That was from the coaches. And he's out there saying that and taking shots at Justin Fields, Justin taking shots at the coaches. Let's backpedal it. This locker room is happy to be winning, but we can't just sit here and just ignore the what ifs. I don't see the consistency of Justin Fields. It's hard to be a quarterback in the NFL. It's the hardest position in all of pro sports. And I just think you're in the perfect place to draft a rookie. And I think that Caleb Williams, honestly, if he was coming out last year, I would have pushed for them to draft him number 1 and trade Justin last year. Here we are again. I don't fall into the 3 interceptions against Notre Dame.
No.
It's ridiculous. The kid is a elite talent at quarterback. Elite. Caleb Williams.
I'm happy to say that. Like, I agree with you. I don't think that anybody needs to. I don't think that the people who want to play the salary cap game and move on from Justin Fields, you don't have to say that they're a hater or anything like that. There's science behind it. I understand the science behind it. I also can understand, though, you were talking about the left tackle. Like, does Braxton Jones he doesn't translate for you? You don't think he's a good, you think they need to move on from him?
I think he's a great developmental guy. You've held on. He needed to perform. He's still weak. His legs look like Charles Leno again. He's just getting pushed back into the backfield. He's serviceable, but I'm looking at this roster, and Carmen, you and I agree 100%. I know Adam predicted them to win 10 games. I said there's so much talent on this football team, and they can't have any excuses. And they lose. They lose 14 straight losses, franchise record. They poo-pooed that. It's a problem. Like, you can beat these. You had your best win. We all thought it was New England. Your best win was against Detroit this year. You did it. You won that game. It wasn't again with 5 turnovers against Minnesota, come away with 12 points, win 12-9. That ain't a win to me. I want to see this football team develop, score, play this game. This is the biggest test for this coach. So I do think it's going to lay some merit on his future because of the McCaskies, because of the history of Dobbs, Frappy, or whatever his name, Zappy, and Mac Jones, Bryce Young. They beat Hoyer. They beat Hoyer. Who else did they beat? All backups. Honestly, to answer your question, I'm sorry, I jumped over there. Braxton,
no.
you got to improve on Braxton Jones. That is a priority position. You got 2 picks in the first round. And I'll tell you right now, the one blessing that no one's talking about, well, maybe they are, is that Justin beat his hometown team, Falcons. And those fans and that owner see that. And now you get some more merit to what Carmen's saying. If Justin goes out there and plays really well against the Packers, that's a benefit to the market value of him. And now you might be looking at 3 first-round picks in 2024 draft.
Yeah, what did you think about that? Because there was, I think it was Jeremy Fowler, Carmen, who said that, hey, Justin Fields would get a second-round pick, maybe a third-round pick. Was he?
I think it's a 1.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think the market
He's
is?
not a 1. He's not a 1. I've talked to assistant GMs. I've talked to personnel, or NFL personnel scouts. I've talked to cap guys. I've talked to multiple people, and they seem to have the consensus that it's more like a third. And I think that he can play into a second. A third. He can play into a second at his absolute max ceiling. Because the way that I would ask this question too to all of these guys was, hey, listen, is there any reality that you see the Bears being able to recoup that second round pick they traded away from Montez Sweat in a Fields trade? And I was shut down every single time I asked that question. They were like, I don't really know that that's a reality. I think there's a market for third, but for sure. But I think that might be the ceiling.
So what does that say about him, the player? You feel me? Like,
I know agree. What I'm saying? I agree. And the fact that the number 1 overall pick is so valuable this year, that should tell you that Caleb Williams is being viewed as as one of the best prospects to come out of a quarterback class in years. And I've talked to people about Caleb Williams as well, because I very casually watched him this year, and I wasn't sold. So again, I went to scouts that have scouted him, and I was like, hey, listen, how is he behind the scenes? Does he work? How is his work ethic? Is he in there studying? Who is he talking to? Is he a good person just to be around? You know, they talk to everybody. They talk to the football secretary and the men and the tutors and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I got glowing reviews about Caleb Williams from every person I talked to. He does study. He's very smart. He's very intellectual. He absolutely has the football IQ on top of this insane talent. And that's kind of what sold me. I was like, okay, I can see the talent, but how is he going to use it? And now having NFL evaluators tell me, but he's actually smart too. I'm like, great, that's it. I'm sold on this guy, and I understand why he is a kind of no-brainer prospect when it comes to every other NFL team, and why that first round pick is so valuable, or that first overall pick is so valuable.
Listen, I could see, based on how he's performing, some team falling in love with him. That's why I believe, to your point, when Adam asked us, should he not play this? No, he goes out there to prove all those GMs, wait a second, we want a dynamic, athletic, moving quarterback with an offensive coordinator who understands how to appropriately use him, like the Falcons. I mean, that's a perfect fit for him. And despite the homecoming story, the offense and the personnel would be dynamic there. So I think that would be a value. The New York Giants, the Jets, the Steelers, these teams, based on need and where they are in the draft, I could see you getting a first round. I mean, Sam Darnold got what, 2 second-round picks and
second and a 4.
Yeah, so
second and a 4.
You have to think Justin Fields is in that vicinity, and I think you can finagle a 1 somehow.
Yeah, well,
pray with me, Carmen.
No, Carmen just pointed out too is that David Tepper. We said this. She said this a couple of weeks ago. That Tepper has a quick trigger.
Temper.
So that's why a Tepper, whatever, all that stuff, which is why a Sam Darnold trade could happen. I could see though Arthur Blank again, because he's a hometown guy. You know, he wants to win a Super Bowl, and if there was enough support that people would be like, fine, give him a first round, especially if the Falcons win this week and end up with making the playoffs. That means their pick drops down to the 20s. It's a little bit more palatable to be okay, fine, we'll get our franchise quarterback. I'm not advocating for this. And then the more you talk about Caleb Williams, I love Marvin Harrison Jr. because there's another thing too about like just trading it out. Like, what about a team like if Bryce Young got what he fetched last year? Like, what would Caleb Williams be able to fetch? Like, you talk about needing a left tackle, a center, we could use another edge rusher. Like, what would Caleb Williams, like, if you just said, like, well, we're not going to get Marvin Harrison Jr., we're going to fall down to 8 or 7 of the Raiders or whomever, and some other team is just giving you a boatload of picks that sets you up for years. Like, don't you have to also consider that as well?
Without a doubt. I mean, you start at 3 first-round picks. That's where it's going to be this year,
Yeah.
the next year, and the year after that. And then you're looking at a formidable veteran talent like you did with DJ Moore. I mean, applauding Ryan Poles for DJ Moore and Montez Sweat, where you had the likes of Mike Lombardi and company.
Oh, didn't like it.
Them, right? Well, the reality is the proof is on the tape. Tape never lies. And you look at what Montez did in Washington, look what he's doing here. He sets the tone. He's a captain, a leader. Those things go beyond the tape. And with this situation with Caleb Williams, I will go on the record. I have not scouted a quarterback as good as this since Andrew Luck. That's how high. I mean, he is Aaron Rodgers-like with the ability to drop dime after dime, angle, I mean, in the pocket, outside the pocket, and people are worried about his height. He's 6'2". I don't know what anybody's talking about with it. This kid gets picked on. I love emotion. Crying with his mom, to me, was a great moment because he has emotion. He cares about it. And to Carmen's point, everybody I've talked to says the opposite of what these fans and the trolls are all saying about Caleb Williams because his fingernails are painted.
Oh,
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
you're going to get you're going to get 3 1s for him because people in the NFL understand you can blow smoke now and say he's terrible, so I can pick him. Right?
Yeah,
he's terrible because I can pick him. You can't pass on another generation. You missed on Mahomes. You could miss on Stroud, right?
But you're essentially
much better than Stroud.
But you're essentially but you're giving up 3 first-round picks for him, basically. Is that a price
another team would? Yes, that's why.
I mean, that's what we would get for him.
I would still pick him because you have since Sid Luckman, Carmen. You've not had a consistent. Okay, we're going into this week. I don't have to worry about my quarterback. I know he's a good. The Bears fans have never had that. We had that one season with Eric Kramer in 1995, where every game I felt like, okay, we're going to be Curtis Conway and Jeff Graham are going to be consistent. Keith Jennings and Ryan Wetnight running down. Raymond Harris. We had an offense that obviously was consistent every week. They're going to keep in the game. Just didn't have a defense that year. The one year that we didn't have a great D. And this is where you got to be. You got to keep trying to get the quarterback. You can't scout the school.
Yeah.
Oh, those USC quarterbacks.
No, that doesn't fly. All right. Well, let's talk about this week. The Bears have an opportunity to knock the Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs. Carmen, I'll start with you. What are you anticipating for this one? I talked about it with Tyler Scott earlier in the show where I'm like, in week 1, there was like, I hope they're good. I think that we've seen a lot of improvement over that time. I feel I expect it now. How do you feel about this week coming up? Obviously, you cover the NFC North, so you see every team and you scout them. What do you see? I know you had your article coming out this week for foxsports.com coming out tomorrow. What do you anticipate for this game?
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight because as much as the Bears are surging, the Packers are too. Not defensively, of course, but with their offense. I mean, this is an offense that is top 10 in DVOA now, or top 5, I believe. I think they're 4th now. They climbed to 4th. They're passing offense with first and second year receivers, and it's all starting and ending with Jordan Love, who has consistently gotten better. He's coming off his 9th game of over 100 quarterback rating. And that started with week 1 against the Chicago Bears, and it's something that he took pride in, was winning that game. Not only does he have that pride to play for and to round out his season with the Chicago Bears, he also has a postseason berth, which, oh, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, in the exact same scenario as Jordan Love is entering into this week, couldn't get it done last year. So Jordan Love now has the opportunity to go out there, do something that Aaron Rodgers couldn't do last year, and give Green Bay Packers fans and that front office peace of mind that, listen, you're going to be okay with me. I'm good. And I'm going to take this franchise and continue the level of success that it's become used to because I'm ready for this. And this is a way for him to punctuate his first season as starter. And I think that he can do it. He's he's impressed me every single week, to be honest. Even in his bad games, he has bounced back so well. He's a wonderful leader. All the guys are behind him. The way that he can survey the field, make his reads, get through his progressions. I'm watching him check out of 1-step drops into 3-step drops post snap. I mean, it's an incredible thing to witness a guy that's that young in his first year being able to do all of this with first and second year receivers who are now finally a little bit more experienced and have seen a little bit more things, and that, Jordan Love can trust a little bit more, as well as Matt LaFleur. So it's going to be a dogfight. It really is. And it's going to be a huge test for the Bears defense to see if, they really have turned a corner.
He's a fourth-year quarterback who's going to be he's going to get $45 million. So he's getting $45 million?
Yeah. Yeah,
No
he
problem.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's earned that. And that's the thing. To her point, I mean, I'm not a stats guy, but people throw the stats up and you look at where Justin Fields lines up on all of these, and he's way down the list consistently throwing the football. He makes his due running the ball, and that's what I think Sunday is going to be the thorn in the side of the Packers, is his ability to escape the pass rush with Gary and company coming off and creating those plays. That's the only area with which I think the Chicago Bears, obviously I feel like their defense is coming on strong. Eddie Jackson, we got to watch. He's getting long in the tooth back there. I got to watch him with the Packers taking the ball over the top. That's where they're going to attack the Chicago Bears, down the football field. And it's going to be a great game. I really believe the Bears have I believe the Bears should win this game, Adam. I really do. And this is about the head coach. Can he embrace the moment? Now, today he's talking like this is just another game.
Yeah.
Another red flag for me.
I didn't like that.
Epic failure.
You can't. But you know what? But Tyler said at the beginning of the season, the Bears, the coaching staff and everybody showed them the Packers are a team that we have to beat. And they've instilled that in them. The players believe in that. I think that they really do embrace it. And like you said, George McCaskey does not let that fly.
He definitely, I sat with the team. I flew with the team to Dallas, as you know, and I sat there and I watched George sit on the plane after they lost last season. I mean, they were in that game.
I remember, yeah.
Back and forth. I mean, Justin balled out.
Amazing game, yeah.
The fumble, you remember, obviously. But anyway, George sat on the plane, sitting there thinking and harboring. It wasn't an act for me. No. I could tell that it bothered. So
there's no cameras around. It's not an act.
And he was adamant even there about beating the Packers.
Yeah.
And listen, I think the Bears should win this game 24-20.
There it is.
I think the Bears should win this game. Their defense is going to get a couple turnovers.
Yeah.
But I will call this, Carmen, on my boy Adam Rank. I love this guy.
Oh, geez.
I do. I will say Montez Sweat has a strip sack that is picked up by another defensive lineman. I don't know which one. And the Bears get a defensive touchdown.
Love
24-10. 24-10.
By the way, 2 Bears defenders made the Pro Bowl. Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson.
Wow.
By the way, I was doing the reads for the wide receivers yesterday. And if you're watching nobody's watching Fantasy Live right now, but I had to do them afterwards and I had the list and I'm like, thankfully I didn't spoil it, but I'm like, DJ Moore is really not a Pro Bowler. I mean, Puka Nacua had a great season. Oh, they put AJ Brown in there. They put AJ Brown in for 6 games. That's the way that works. I don't know how our fan base let this slide. We didn't get DJ Moore in there.
There's more than the fan vote, which is the only person that was leading the fan vote from the NFC North, from the entire division, was Josh Metellus at strong safety, which I also don't understand because I like Josh Metellus. He's a great player. I don't think he holds a candle to Antoine Winfield Jr. right now. No. So it's the
Brisker also had a great year.
Brisker also had a great year. I think, probably better than Josh Metellus did, although Josh Metellus' recency bias has kind of come on strong with him because he's had a lot of turnover. He's had multiple turnovers, I should say, within the last few weeks. But it's only a fan vote. The fan vote counts for a third of the overall selection
that's
of these
right.
guys to the Pro Bowl. So it helps, but it's not the end all be all, which is why you see Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson, who did not lead in their respective categories, get selections, which I think there's good and bad to both, but also the Pro Bowl. What does the Pro Bowl even matter?
Yeah, but I think
there are incentives. There are contract incentives.
The offense will score as well, Adam.
Yeah.
Yes, the offense will score.
I predict one defensive touchdown, and I'm a bum because I don't think how did they get the 24
Why
points?
do you read the comments? Don't do that.
Saying,
don't wade into the comments. That's listen.
I got to protect Carmen and you.
Everybody's passionate. I'm not taking it personal. Like if David Njoku sits here and MFs me in front of everybody and I can roll with the punches.
I used to like him.
We still like him.
About my
we still like him. They need to learn the rules, but
he finally woke up. He finally woke up. How about that?
Joe Flacco made him a fantasy superstar, and we thank him for that. But and I also want to thank you both for being here. This was an epic show this evening. Carmen, you've got an article going on. Where can people find you? Where can they find your work?
Yeah, foxsports.com. I actually also have an entire article detailing how much more complex this issue has gotten with Justin Fields given his recently good play. So that's currently on the site. Tomorrow will be a Time is a Flat Circle article just about this Bears-Packers matchup in Week 18. And then you can follow me on social, Carmi B.
Awesome. Oh, wait, we do have Sammy wants us to get in one more comment. Okay. So before we let you go, it's Carrie once again. Carrie, thank you so much.
Gary Franklin, my guy.
Carrie, listen, he's the best.
TTNL guy too.
Oh, you know what? He can be both. It doesn't have. Don't stop polarizing everybody.
I got to get her on.
Please, like she'd be great. I would hope that you would. Adam, what a great show. All I know is my heart wants JF to be successful, but the tape never lies shows the tape, and he has a lot to improve. No matter what Poles does, I will support the Bears. I think that's the ultimate thing. I wish that people would come around to this a little bit more. We had Braggs on last week as well, and I know he went on to the tape never lies afterwards. I wish people just come on board. I think that, and I saw this comment in Bears Twitter today, and I think it not only holds true for the Bears, but it holds true for like a lot of things. So many fan bases, and it's not just sports, but it happens with superhero movies. It happens with Star Wars. Is that people they create this fan fiction in their head that if you don't live up to that, standard, then it's wrong. Like everybody knows everybody has an idea of what they would have done with Star Wars Episode 9. And when Disney doesn't do that exact same thing, well, this movie sucks. Same thing with the Justice. Like I had a great idea for the Justice League, and the Justice League they put out there was not what I thought it should be. So it's terrible. And that's now everybody's a GM. Everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to go out there and be like, well, if Ryan Poles doesn't do exactly what I say, he's obviously wrong. I think that Ryan Poles has put together enough good things to whatever he decides for the Chicago Bears franchise is probably for the best. And so I will do that. But
that's what everybody wants too. That's what everybody wants.
That's what everybody should want. We don't have to fight over it.
The division is better when the Bears are good, when all of the teams are good. That's all we want is the Bears to be good again and this market to get a team that it finally deserves. And that we just have differing opinions on how to get that. But ultimately it's Ryan Poles that is making this call.
It's true. We can have the other three teams be terrible. We don't need if they're good. The NFL doesn't matter. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, you guys don't matter. Chicago matters.
Said it.
Chicago
NFL and football is so much better when the Chicago Bears are good.
Yeah, we see like when Green Bay's good, it doesn't matter. Like it's just like whatever, like a terrible skinny,
I agree.
Like it's nobody cares. But there's one more. No, we gotta get worst uniform in sports. Yeah. Let's wait, we got one more. Poor Carmen. Carmen's like, I should have bounced a moment ago. Berlissimo. I don't want to draft a QB until I'm certain that we have a competent offensive coordinator. Happy New Year to Phil and fam. Hope Coach O as well. Get line and wide receiver in the draft and a competent offensive coordinator. There's a lot of different ways. Like it's funny because it feels like such a puzzle piece of like there's so many different ways it can go. And like you even threw out a scenario as whether it'll happen or not. If Jim Harbaugh came in, it was like, oh, I want Justin Fields, and you saw what he was able to do with Alex Smith and eventually Colin Kaepernick, and be like, okay, like we'll go along with that. There's so many ways to divide this up that, again, I think we all just want them to be successful.
Yeah, you cheer for the jersey. You really do. And listen, we all have our thoughts and opinions on it. And at the end of the day, I've put my neck out there to say where I'm at, just like Carmen is. And you, Adam, you put you put your face to it. I don't hide. I don't flip flop.
Yeah.
I'll be the first guy to tell you I was wrong about a guy, but I don't, scout the schools. I don't write Mac Jones's story or Justin Fields' story right now. They have to, Jim Plunkett was considered a bust. Steve Young was considered a bust. They go somewhere else, and all of a sudden,
Drew Brees,
same thing. This is the story, and sometimes you have to make a business decision. And I'm not that guy. I'm a coach at heart. I look at the personnel, and the Bears have failed in hiring the coaches. That is proven. And I feel like, just for the record, if they continue with Eberflus, we'll be back here next year looking for a new coach. That's where we are. So the best thing would be to cut the coach, decide on the quarterback. That's what I would do if I was Poles.
All right. Well, listen, this has been great to talk about. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's perspective. And I want to let everybody know, too, once again, to reiterate this point, like Phil and I go back and forth either through text or IG messaging or whatever.
Yes.
And we have wildly different opinions, not wildly, but we have different opinions, but we're still a brotherhood. We still love each other, and we can respect each other and respect each other's opinions. So the only thing that I ask for Bears fans out there, whatever happens over the next couple of months, respect each other. Know that we all want the Chicago Bears to win. That's what's most important to us. And Ryan Poles is going to lead us there. Whether we agree with him or not, he is going to lead us to the promised land at some point in the near future. So that's all I got. So for Carmen and Draft Dr. Phil, by the way, the Tape Never Lies Network will be kicking off here. We're going to give Phil a couple of minutes to go get a powder, go get a Gatorade, then the Tape Never Lies Net. This is what we've always wanted to do, is just kind of sort of hand off, give everybody a break, go get a Fresca, go get a soft drink, go get a beer, whatever it is, whatever your pleasure is, go do that, and then come back here in a couple of minutes, not here, but there for the Tape Never Lies Network. Check out Carmi V, go to Fox, but in the meantime, go to foxsports.com, check out Carmi V's article on Justin Fields, check it out tomorrow with them. So for Carmen, Draft Dr. Phil, I'm Adam, bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.